G'day, welcome to another episode of Fearless Singer. This is going to be a mini episode. I did promise an interview that's coming next week. It's been pretty hectic over here at Fearless Singer HQ, but in a really positive way. There's been the Fearless Singer Showcase that was last Thursday night. We had Little Mel and Girl from Greece featuring Tennille West last Saturday, which was just such a beautiful experience. It was just felt like a real West End community music gig, and lots of our beautiful friends from the Greek community came to that. And also, gosh, this week we've got the Fearless Singer Jam. So the first ever jam. The reason why I started that is because, well, we've got the Fearless Singer Showcase, which is for the members only. So the showcase is 6 times a year. It happens at Can You Keep a Secret? We have our last big hurrah gig at the end of the year at It's Still a Secret. I'll have the dates and booking links up in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, and I had always had, leading up to now, have had a big response from people saying, oh, I'd really like to sing at that. And yeah, and I would love to support other singers. So this was a way of being able to open Fearless Singer community up to the public and get some amazing singers on board. And that's happening this Sunday at the Bearded Lady. And yeah, we've got such a beautiful lineup of singers, all women actually. There's no men that responded to my little classified ad. And they all come from different walks of life, all have different experiences when it comes to performing, and yeah, just going to give it a good red hot go with a beautiful band that I've got lined up. It's going to be absolutely smoking. So yeah, if you would like to come down and check that out, if you're in Brizzy, come down to West End, Boundary Street, to the Beard Lady, Sunday afternoon. It's 2 to 4. And just, come soak up the Fearless Singer community vibes, and watch some phenomenal singers at the same time. I'm going to host it alongside my bestie, Tennille West, who's another beautiful singer and also a vocal coach. So that's happening. And then next week, we have our Girl from Greece launch, which is the production company that I created with my beautiful friend Katerini Menelatos. We also collaborate with our other dear friend Christina Zidilignou. And yeah, we've got our official launch next Saturday night. It's going to, again, another beautiful band. We've got a guy coming up, Nico from Melbourne, who's going to play bouzouki. We've got Paul from Cairns. We've got Dr. Bob on bass. George Lignos is playing piano. We've got Natasha Mathis, who's playing percussion. So I'm going to put the links anyway in the show notes. So come and, again, soak up. You don't have to be Greek to come and enjoy Greek music, Greek culture. It's really going to be a celebration of friendships, family, and a lot of storytelling in English, by the way. There will be also a bit of Greek language happening, obviously in the songs, but so come and experience that and be part of it. So this episode, it sounds like I'm just here to promote my gigs, but I wanted to let you know what's been going on, why it's been so hectic. But I also want to fill you in on some things that have been coming up for me, and some things that have been really freaking helpful, because I don't know about you, that probably sounded like, I don't know, a list of anxiety, and to be honest, I do struggle with keeping everything together. There's, when it comes to putting together projects, there's a lot involved. It's not just the music making, it's the marketing / promotion. It's taking photos, it's writing copy. There's a lot of logistics involved in organizing venues, organizing sound, organizing your singers, organizing your repertoire. There's so much when it comes to being a creative that you're balancing in terms of, actually doing the thing. And then there's your ego. Your ego that comes in and goes, are you sure you're doing that correctly? Oh, that doesn't look very good. Oh, that doesn't sound very good. Oh, that's a bit clunky how you wrote that. Oh, God, you're a shit writer. I just had to stop that video because I had Australia Post at the door, and I'm not going to redo that video because that's my latest little boundary with myself. I'm just not ever going to be editing these videos or redoing them because you should try this as a little bit of experiment. It takes a bit of time to get used to talking to a camera. It's like I'm just having a chat with myself. In my mind, I feel like I've got all the images of people that I talk to, that are part of Fearless Singer, or, you know, the part of the community. I've always got you in my mind as I'm talking, but you know, technically I am just looking at myself, and it sometimes if you get into that cycle of perfectionism with this, it sucks the freaking life out of you. So I've just gone, you know what, warts and all, that's what you get with me on Fearless Singer podcast. But yeah, I was just talking about ego and how it comes up and tries to tell you that you're no good. And it also tells you that, gosh, you know, you're unlikable. And, oh, gosh, you promote yourself way too much. And, oh, yada, 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 yada. And, you know, you've heard me speak about this a lot. You know, just because I have a brand and a business that is around being fearless doesn't mean that I've just suddenly evolved into this Dalai Lama who doesn't experience the critical mind. It's one of those things that you will always experience. You know, as you go along on your journey, there's always going to be a new layer that you are unraveling. I love that image of that we're all onions and we're just peeling off the layers as we go, revealing some of those hidden beliefs / narratives about ourselves as we go along, as we progress to wherever we want to progress to. And I think definitely when you start showing up, you know, consistently to talk about things about yourself, like, and the things that you love, and to promote your music or promote your business, these little stories are going to come up. And the other, I guess, side effect of having to, you know, constantly coach yourself through those, you know, those little niggling moments of self-doubt is that it makes you freaking tired. It makes you so tired. And then when you've got a list of things to do, you've got these projects that you're juggling, it's like you are moving with a ball and chain. You know, this feeling of, that slow-mo, like you're trying to, it's like a dream, you know, where you're sort of sludging your way, you're trying to get to something, but it's so hard to get to it. Or if you're being chased, that I've had that dream before. It makes you tired. And you have to get to a point where you go, do I want to keep hauling this, you know, ball and chain? This is slowing me down. So that little visual has really helped me over the last couple of weeks, because there's been a few massive stories that I've had to let go of. And we're literally, oh my goodness, I can't even describe to you, because it's like I can see that the story's playing out, but then there's a part of me, because I've done the work, that's going, why are you thinking this? Why? This is not true. You know, so there's still a conscious part that goes, that's not true, but the subconscious mind is still playing those tapes over and over again. So I've had to go, right, I can't keep going on like this. There is too many things on the go, too many meals being made, and I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve the Fearless Singer community and the vision, and to be of service, I need to let go of these stories that have been, holding me back or just making me feel lethargic. And there's been a couple of those big stories, and I'm just going to be super honest even though it kind of pains me a little bit because, hashtag vulnerability. But one of them is this story around not being liked and that people don't want to see me succeed. I'm just going to say it. It feels painful to admit that's there, because I have got the biggest support network around me. I've got a friggin' wonderful family. My mother is honestly one of the best cheerleaders you could ever have in a human being, and my beautiful, beautiful friends, my beautiful community. I've just got so many amazing fearless singers who are beyond supportive. So it's funny that you'd fixate on this feeling of, oh no, I don't think people like me. And then you have to go, well, hang on, where does this come from? And I'm just going to be honest, it comes from childhood. I had a really interesting childhood, and obviously it was an experience that had to happen. It was part of my evolution, where I was ostracized a lot of the times by children and by adults, because I was an interesting, different kid. I'm still an interesting, different kid, by the way. And so I've had to go, come on, I understand. I hear you. I feel you. That was really painful. But we've got to let go of that story. We've got to let go of it, because it's no longer of service to you. It's not going to be of service to the people that you serve. And also there is an acknowledgement of, sure, when you're putting yourself out in the public domain, there are going to be people that go, I don't like that girl. I don't like her. I don't know why, but I just don't like her. And I think there needs to be an acceptance of that's normal human behavior. There are people, for whatever reason, they've probably done nothing to us. They, are living their best lives, but for whatever reason, they trigger us in some way, or they set off a trigger response. And that's normal, And the other thing is there needs to be acknowledgement of, I can't control what they think. They might think my voice is annoying, and, they might think, oh, whatever. I'm not even going to go through the list because that's counterproductive. But I can no longer control that. And that's really tricky. If you're a codependent people pleaser, that's a hard thing to get over. Because essentially when you're wanting people to like you so bad, there's an element of manipulation in that, and there's an element of you're not really being yourself. You're not being authentic. And then, you get to a point where you're just like, I feel so angry inside and I don't know why. It's because you've been trying to make people like you for so long, and they may not be giving you what you require from them back. So that's been the biggest thing, is letting go of that. And I tell you what, I'm going to be really honest. It got to the point, it just got really aggressive, that feeling on Monday. And I had to go, right, I'm going to be tapping on this once and for all. And I am letting this go, and I tapped on also the anger and frustration that I was feeling towards myself, that I hadn't quite got to that point yet. I thought I'd overcome it. But again, we get to another part of our spiritual development or another part of our career development where these things come back. And it's just important that we see it like a bloody good juicy blackhead and we just pop it. And, and then move on with our lives. And I did that through tapping. And I really feel as though I've shifted it. Which is really, thank God, because there's too much on my plate right now to keep carrying that ball and chain. Now, the other thing that I've mentioned before is this feeling of lethargy that you get from having too many things on the go, and obviously having to coach yourself through the critical mind. And that is this feeling of, I don't have the motivation for this. I'm just not feeling this. This is like, I just want to I actually probably woke up like this the last couple of mornings where you just want to lie on the couch and scroll for a bit. But I know myself that if I let that get out of control, that can turn into a bit of a time sucker. And I've only just learnt through Brendan Burchard, just learnt that you can practice motivation and see it as a habit that you can cultivate. And this has been a game changer for me, that seeing motivation as a habit, because half the time, I don't know about you, we don't really feel like doing much. We just don't, sometimes we get a little flash of inspiration and we clean our house or we write that song or, I don't know about you. Sometimes you just, even though I love my work, I love my job, I love going to gigs, but honestly, sometimes it's a bit tricky, like having to sort of peel myself off the couch to get there. I do, obviously, the motivation of a timeline is really good for me. But also too, I want to get to a point where I don't have to, I might feel a bit like that for half a second, but I don't have to allow it to be a thing because I can practice motivation. And one of the biggest things is aligning with the energy of ambition. And this was from Brendan Burchard. This idea of you can tap into that energy of ambition. So, today I want to make 5 motivational videos and put it up onto the Fearless Singer YouTube, because I believe in elevating singers, and I love the idea of creating this platform where people feel heard and seen and are given the tools to elevate themselves, whether it's to get themselves up on a stage or get their music out on social media, whatever that looks like. So aligning with this idea of ambition. The other thing too, and I'm just going to put it out there, this is another one of those, deep shares, and there's still part of my critical mind that goes, mate, it's like, look at the economy and the climate currently, but I am overriding that belief. I want to own a house by next year. I want to own my own house. It means the world to me to have a house, and I want to own it, and I want it to be in West End because West End is my spiritual home. Sometimes I think about moving. I don't know, it comes into my head and I just go, no, this is my home. It's my community. So that's the other thing. So aligning with that idea of, okay, is this going to get me my house? Is this going to get me closer to that goal and that dream? Or for you, it could be, something more musical related. Is this going to get me to my one-woman show? Is this going to get me to star at QPAC? Whatever that is, make it big and beautiful and meaningful. And feel it in your body, visualize it, and tap into that energy when you want to get yourself out the door, or here in your little studio writing music, or even cleaning your house, because we need a nice clean space to operate in order to get us to our dreams and goals. So this idea of practicing it. Some other little tools that I use that are really helpful for me is the Mel Robbins 5-4-3-2-1. I used it on the kids at school. Some of them were like, yeah, right, whatever. Get over yourself. Don't count at me, miss. But I actually use it on myself all the time, so it could be like 9:45 and I know I have to get myself ready for bed because I know that I need to be in bed by 10 o'clock in order to function the next day. And I know that I really want to keep scrolling, and I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'm off that frigging couch getting ready for bed. So use that, give yourself a little countdown. You can't think about it. You just have to do it. The other thing that I use too is I use choice theory. So the same thing, I'm using behavior management techniques that I used to use in the classroom on myself. So the other morning, I know that I need to walk in order to have good mental health and well-being, and I know that it just does wonders to my energy during the week. So in the morning, if I don't feel like going for a walk, well, by the way, I have all my clothes sorted, so there's no excuse there. I say to myself, I'll give myself a choice. So I did this the other morning. I was like, okay, if you don't go for a walk, you have to clean your kitchen. You should have seen how quickly I had changed into my walking gear. It was like one of those poof Prince moments, you know, in one of his music clips where he just like appears. Well, it just happened. I just had my walking clothes on and I was out the door. So, you know, that's the other thing you can do. Or I think it's called habit stacking, or it could be called something else. But if there is like a task where you're like, oh, this pains me, but I really need to do it because it's important as part of my business or part of whatever it is that you're doing, could be learning words for a show, is to then tack it on with something that you do like to do. So for instance, the other morning I went for my walk, came back and went, but you know what, mate, your kitchen, it still needs to be clean. It's a bit gross having all those dishes and, you know, the sink, you know, and they've been there for 24 hours. So then I put my podcast on. I listened to one of my favorite entrepreneurs, Tina Tower, and I did my dishes and cleaned my kitchen. So that's the other thing too. You can attach the things that you don't like to do with something that you do like to do. So that's been really, really powerful. Now, the other thing that's come up for me as well, and I'm going to talk more about this in another episode, and that's the imposter syndrome. Oh my goodness, no one is immune to this. And again, it can come at you at any different angle because of different things that present in your life or different opportunities that come up that you think you're not ready for. And the reason why this came up for me is because of the Greek concert we're doing, Girl from Greece, which I'm so excited about. It's going to be really beautiful. I've got family coming from Bundaberg. I've got my dad, my mum, my brother's going to be there, my cousin Goldie. Most of the Greek community are going to be there. Now, I've mentioned this before in podcast interviews. I'm a quarter Greek. I have the last name Lathouris, which is Greek. I was christened in the Greek Orthodox Church across the road by Father Gregory back in 1980s. I live in a very Greek home. This wallpaper, as I've mentioned multiple times in different podcast episodes, was created by my great aunt, Mrs. Bakadori. She, you know, this is all her. This is her style. And so I'm very connected to my Greek culture. I don't speak Greek. I love Greek. I love the music. I love the language. I love how it feels in your mouth. I've struggled with learning pronunciation. So like your G's are not like, they're kind of soft and back in your throat. So agape. It's like you have to kind of push air as you say it, like agape. And then there's hara. So that's agape is love and hara is joy. So it's like got a little at the back. And it's a struggle because I am an English speaking Australian essentially. So yeah, there has been a real journey in overcoming that feeling of imposter syndrome. Like, why would anyone want to listen to me sing Greek? They've got my beautiful colleagues and very good friends, Katerini Menelatos, who, you know, she's Greek Australian as well, but she speaks Greek beautifully. She's got the most beautiful voice. And Christina Zidilignou from Athens. You know, if you want that real traditional, beautiful, rich Greek sound, you know, and then there's me. And it's so funny too, even like stature wise. And I know, you know, body image is something that, again, we're all unraveling stuff in our minds because of diet culture and all the rest of it. They're these two tall, stunning women, and then there's little short bum me in the middle. And, you know, and I don't look Greek. That's the other thing. I don't look Greek. I look like my beautiful mother. who has got more of a Scottish heritage, Scottish, English, and American, actually, is her family background. So yeah, it's been a really interesting journey in coaching myself through that. So what do you do to coach yourself through that? Well, my biggest belief in what I teach is that whatever you identify as, whatever you say you are, that's who you are. That is who you are. And one thing I love about Indigenous culture here in this country is it doesn't matter if, you look like Snow White, but if your grandmother was from a different mob, like that's who you are. You are Indigenous and you're 100% embraced. And I think that's absolutely so inclusive and so beautiful. And I just realized, well, actually, you know what? Even though, yes, I am a little bit far removed from, being a full-blooded Greek. Also, too, I'd really like to steer away from that language. It sounds like I'm talking about cattle, I'm a quarter Greek. But yeah, I've just had to go, well, no, I really align and identify with my Greek culture. I love my Greek story. I love our history, love the music, and that's who I am. It's part of who I am. It's in my blood. And I am an artist foremost, and I'm a storyteller foremost. So, I love to tell these stories about people that were part of who I am, or made me part of who I am. I'm carrying my great-grandmother Aphrodite's DNA, and my great-grandfather Yanni, I'm carrying his DNA. So I am part of this culture. So yeah, just these are little tweaks that you do to I guess, start really aligning with your higher truth, because at the end of the day, we're all just made of stardust, and whatever you decide who you are, even if you've never sung a bloody song on stage in your entire life and you decide that you're a singer, you're a singer. You are. No question. All it takes for you is to start singing in the morning or at any part of the day that feels good, and start thinking about songs that you want to perform, and start visualizing yourself on the stage eventually with a band. That's all it takes, is to start, aligning with that identity that you want and assuming it, stepping into it. So that's, I think, the biggest thing for me with overcoming imposter is to decide what you identify as, give yourself multiple reasons, and know that that is enough, and that is okay, and you're loved. And yeah, anyway, I'm going to wrap this up now because I've got one of my beautiful fearless singers coming over. I'm going to take some photos of her because I'm going to promote her. She's singing on Sunday. I want to get some promo pics, and so please come and hang out with us on Sunday if you're free, if you're in the Brisbane area, at the Bearded Lady. It starts at 2. It's only $10 to get in, but it's going to be a really beautiful vibe. And there's a huge lineup of singers. I think there's 14 of us. And also, too, if you are interested in checking out Girl from Greece, our launch concert is next Saturday night. It's going to be absolutely sublime. I can't stress it enough. The music is sensational. The singers are brilliant. Our band is brilliant. It starts at 6, so it's a nice early one, 6 to 7:30, and that's at Speak Up Studio in Spring Hill. And I'm going to put the ticket link here in the show notes. And yeah, come again. It's really about come be part of our communities, the Fearless Singer community and the Girl from Greece community. You won't be sorry, and you will be embraced in both communities. Anyhow, lots of love to you, and take good care.